Hello, my name is Erin Parker, and I am here with Crime Stoppers of Houston with the Safe Community Institute. Right here is my business card. I am an education specialist with the Safe School and the Safe Community Institutes. If you scan this QR code, it can take you to our website. It can give you all of our resources. You can also request a presentation if you would like for us to come out to give any type of presentations or material jobs. With the Safe Community Institute, it was established in 2013 and it expanded in 2022. So, with that, it houses four different things. So, we have our Safe Community Program, which is us going out into the community, giving resources, preventing any type of crime. We also have our Victim Services Program. We have our Balanced Voice podcast, which is run by our CEO, Rania, and then we have our Glenda Gordy Research Center, which houses all of the data that is in Harris County. And so if you want to look up what is happening, what different types of things have happened in Harris County, you can look that up. We are a nonprofit organization, so we love to give our sponsors a big shout out because without them, we would not be able to do what we are doing. So, our mission with Crime Stoppers is to solve and prevent serious crime in partnership with citizens, the media, and the criminal justice system. So, we are most known for our tip line. You probably have seen it on the news, you might have used it yourself, but it is an anonymous crime reporting system. It is open 24/7. We get 2,500 calls per month. It is campus and community based. So, if I'm giving this presentation to students, I tell them if you see something in your neighborhood, if you see something at school, you can utilize the tip line. And then it is fully run by law enforcement. So there are three different ways to report. You can call 713-222-TIPS. You can also download our app. There is an app for everything, including Crime Stoppers. So you can download the app and you can upload anything that you've seen on there. And then if you want to just get on your computer and go to crime-stoppers.org, you can utilize the tip line that way as well. So how does it work? We never take any personal information, your name, your phone number, your address, anything that can identify you. So maybe you call and you say, hey, my name is Erin Parker. I saw something happen in my neighborhood. We will not write that information down. We're not taking any personal information. You tell everybody, you tell law enforcement what you've seen, what happened, what time, what area. You give them as much information as you can. And then if you do, if something comes about it, you can get a cash reward of up to $5,000. So our topic for today is online solicitation prevention. Social media and the internet is so big for everyone, especially our kids. And so we're going to talk about online solicitation. We're going to watch a few videos and just get some insight on what's happening and how to keep yourself and your kids safe.
He chooses his innocent victim. This time he will not fail. This time he is sure.
So I grew up in the era of stranger danger. So it was really the media that taught me more about strangers.
Dangerous people, stranger danger.
If somebody tries to engage with you, run away.
It's always like a van.
A white van,
a dude in a van.
with no windows.
Don't ever get into a car.
He's going to promise you a puppy and some candy.
Yeah.
Don't fall for it.
Yeah.
We were told not to hitchhike because we would be kidnapped.
So with the rise in smartphones, back in 2014, there were only 73% of teens that had smartphones. And then in the current age right now, 95% of kids have cell phones. I know it says 2021, but it's still the same in 2025. 95% of kids have cell phones. So they have little computers in their hands. They're able to do everything that they can in the palm of their hands. So social media usage. Social media is a very big part of the children's lives. A lot of them talk to their friends on social media. They're having relationships, unfortunately, on social media. So 75% of teens have at least one active social media profile. 54% of teens say it would be hard to give up social media. 51% visit a social media site daily, and 35% say that they are on social media almost constantly. So we see the differences in the social media usage throughout the years. YouTube has always been pretty popular. Facebook at one point was very popular, but it definitely has gone down. But a lot of the apps that the kids are using would be YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat, and Instagram. So social media usage, some of these apps, they look like they're fun, but they might have some hidden things. Some of them don't have age verification. Some of them, no, they have users of certain ages. There's sextortion scams on some of them. Some of them you can buy things and you can talk to strangers. So if you are seeing some of these apps on your kids' phones, make sure that they're being safe. And if they are on a site and there's inappropriate things going on, they need to delete it. So gaming, a lot of these kids are gaming, and with some of these games, they do have chat rooms. And so when you're talking, if you're playing the game, you can talk to the person with the headset, you can type in the chat room. And most of the time there is, just fun banter and they're talking back and forth with one another. But sometimes it can get to be a little dangerous. And we see on this graph that the largest amount of people that are playing these video games are 18 to 34. So say your kid is 12, they're possibly talking to a full-grown adult on these games. There's online chats, Chat Roulette, Monkey, and Discord. These are just apps that the kids can go on. They can talk to people. They have different chat rooms. I'm familiar with Discord. And so with Discord, you go on there, you're in a certain room, and you're just talking about a certain topic. It can be something as simple as talking about gaming, maybe cheat codes on games, but sometimes it can get inappropriate. Online grooming. So 1 in 3 kids say that their online friends are their closest. So we see that a lot of the kids are talking to people online. They could be strangers, they could be their best friends in real life, but they are talking to people online. Over 90% of kids 18 to 16 have seen inappropriate content. 40% of kids have been approached by someone that they thought was attempting to befriend them and manipulate them. 85% of teens do not disclose instances of blackmail due to embarrassment. So we'll talk about trusted adults a little later because that is going to be very vital in the kids' lives. So grooming. The definition of grooming: actions or behaviors used to establish an emotional connection with the minor and sometimes the child's family to lower the child's inhibitions with the objective of sexual abuse.
I friend a lot of people. I would just join games.
He just friends random people.
I would just join games for no reason and just go, I friend.
Braxton does end up, I'll be in there and he's on the headphones playing Xbox and I'm like, who are you playing with? And he'll be like, I don't know, some kid.
Have you ever gotten creepy DMs from guys?
Yeah, all the time.
Have you been solicited by any creeps online?
Yeah. He was contacted by a stranger on Instagram.
Oh, I saw your page and I'm really I'm interested in sending you money for in exchange for pictures.
I had people DM me saying that I'm so beautiful and he'll buy me whatever I want.
So we at BARC unfortunately detect issues around online child predation very frequently. Last year alone, we escalated 450 online child predators to law enforcement. And so we know that it's a common problem. Unfortunately, we think most parents underestimate the commonality of that problem. It's not just kids who might be at risk. Oftentimes it's a child who's simply bored in their bedroom at night.
And I cannot tell you how many children I see in their bedrooms on live stream with tons of people just watching them, asking them to do certain things.
When parents allow their kids to have that device in their rooms at night, where are your parents? Then come the grooming question, where are your parents? Are you on an iPhone or are you on an iPad? What school are you? What are you wearing? Oh, your makeup looks so beautiful.
It's not uncommon for grooming behavior to include showing minors images of pornography to help them to think that that is normal, and then that can be a progression towards engaging them in sexual activity.
So it can get to be very scary. in the grooming process, they do find a target, they befriend them, and then they gain their trust, they fulfill a need, and then they isolate them, and then they're able to capitalize. So when I'm giving any type of cyber safety presentation to any students, I tell them not to be vulnerable online. If they're vulnerable, if they're saying, me and my boyfriend just broke up, I'm so depressed, or they're complaining because they don't have any money, a groomer is going to hone in on that, and that's when they're going to find their chance to try and groom your children. So when they're online, don't be vulnerable, don't give out any personal information. So the targets, this gets to be when you are vulnerable online. So they might have difficulty making friends. Maybe they broke up with their significant other. Maybe there's things that are happening at home. Maybe the parents are fighting a lot, or they're going through a divorce, or maybe they're not, they're siblings and they're getting into it and they're arguing a lot. So that's going to be the groomer's target. Tactics. So how they get the children, they're sending and requesting pictures, they're buying gifts. The kids might not know that they're getting groomed, but the person is like, hey, what's your Cash App? What's your Zelle? I'm going to send you some money. They're encouraging secrecy, so they don't want your kids to talk about what's happening or what they're doing. They're requesting personal information. They're asking for the address, the phone number, what school they go to, how many siblings they have, who lives in their home. They're giving them attention. Sometimes kids do need a lot more attention than what they're getting. And so the groomers are going to give more attention. And then they're doing excessive or inappropriate compliments. You're so beautiful. You are just breathtakingly beautiful. You're gorgeous. You are everything that you need to be. They're just being extremely nice.
On her 16th birthday, Macy was scrolling through her Facebook wall, enjoying the attention of the happy birthdays from dozens of friends, acquaintances, and several people she'd never met before. One message in particular caught her eye. A cute guy she didn't know wishing her a happy birthday with some compliments she hadn't heard in a while. They started messaging back and forth, and pretty soon Macy felt like she was in love. She'd never met someone who understood her so well, empathized with the depression she'd been dealing with, and made her feel so special and beautiful. After talking for a few months, they decided it was time to meet. Macy's mom was protective. As a single mom, she worked hard to make ends meet and raise her kids to be respectful and to focus on school. But one night, Macy snuck out to meet in person with this guy she'd grown so attached to online. That's when she realized the truth. He wasn't 19 like he said, he was 33. Macy was confused, but at this point she loved him enough to forgive his lie. He said he loved her, he wanted to be with her. That was enough. That's when her nightmare began. This man, who won her trust as her boyfriend, soon became her trafficker. One common tactic of traffickers we see with youth is social media and online gaming, and that's why it's so important for adults to talk to youth about their online safety and monitor their online activity. Messaging and games allow traffickers to hide behind a screen, using whatever names and images they want to build a relationship with their victims. As in Macy's story earlier, the trafficker pretended to be someone else, building their relationship until she fell in love with him. Child predators and traffickers often use online gaming to groom their victims, especially boys. A predator may befriend a boy through messaging, then start to give him gifts like in-game items or credits. He may then use these favors to manipulate the child to send photos or videos. Once a trafficker has those, they can be used as blackmail to exploit the child further. Another major risk factor for trafficking is sexting. With the growth of messaging apps, sexting has become normal among teenagers. They may send a photo to someone they think they can trust and want to gain the favor of, like a crush or a boyfriend. From there, that person can use that image as blackmail.
So the culture, it is hypersexualized culture. What we're seeing on social media, the language, the media, TikTok, different things that in advertising. So we see a lot of these things online, and so it starts to become the norm. So the goals of a predator is to sexualize the relationship, meet in person, and then financially benefit. Sextortion. This is the definition of sextortion. It describes a crime that happens online when an adult convinces a person who is younger than 18 to share sexual pictures or perform sexual acts on video. It is also a serious crime that occurs when someone threatens to distribute your private and sensitive material if you do not provide them with images of a sexual nature, sexual favors, or money. So in this video, we're going to see some parents talk about their son and with sextortion.
Tell us what happened. What happened to take your son away?
He was approached by someone on Instagram, a young woman. They struck up a conversation and eventually it turned sexual. She showed herself on a video chat with him. And after she did so, she asked him to do the same thing. So, he figured no harm there. So he exposed himself to her, just two people showing each other what they have. And from that video, she took a screenshot. Then after they took that screenshot, they proceeded to tell him, hey, this picture that we're showing you right now, because they started texting him, they said, this picture that we're showing you, we're going to show this to the whole world. And for hours, they were telling him they were going to ruin his life and how he was going to get put in jail because he was going to be labeled a pedophile. He was going to lose all his friends. He wouldn't be able to get into college. He was going to get kicked out of school. His parents wouldn't love him. All these different things. And this went on for hours and hours. And eventually they started asking him a different question like, okay, well, if we was to give you a number to pay to make these go away, would you pay it? He said yes. They said $6,000. He doesn't have $6,000. And he told them, I told you I don't have a job. I have no money. I'm in school still. So they said, all right, you pay us $300 and we'll make all these pictures of you go away. He agreed to the $300, which I think is part of their tactic to start with a number they know someone can't meet and then go down to something more reasonable. But even still, he didn't have $300. So he gave him the little bit of money that he did have and the gift cards that he had, and it still wasn't enough. So they kept telling him, hey, I want the rest of my money. He was with his mom at the time, and, for hours they're sitting there complaining and arguing with him and telling him all these different things and everything you could think of. We want our money was pretty much what they really wanted. And
all via text, Tim? All via text, right?
So it was through Instagram that they were messaging him and on his cell phone, his personal cell phone.
They found his cell phone. I don't think he did.
He gave him the number.
Yeah.
He gave him the number.
Yes.
Okay.
So they were texting him and eventually James got to the point where he saw that he wasn't going to be able to pay them their money. And you got to remember, he was up for 2 whole days pretty much because he went to school Friday morning and he wakes up first thing in the morning to go to school. He was up all day. He was up all night. Saturday morning, he was still wide awake. All through Saturday, he was up. He might have, slightly dozed off for a minute or two throughout the day, but overall, he was up for 2 days. Then you add the fact that a 17-year-old, their brain isn't fully developed. So you add sleep deprivation in there. He's not making the right choices.
And he's just so mentally exhausted. And they just won't leave him alone. So so is it a team, you think, of people that are constantly just after him?
Yes. So it's an organized crime, and it initially starts out with the young lady, and then we believe it was 2 other men who came on, and then James' murderers are in Ivory Coast, and then there's one person here in America. So the person here in America collects the money, washes it, and sends it over to Africa. Or the Ivory Coast, wherever the predators are. And they tend to work together. That's why we say that this is more than a picture. Like a lot of people say, oh, it's an embarrassment of a picture, but we have to understand, and that's why we take the time to teach our the parents, trustworthy adults. We teach law enforcement. We teach whoever will listen. It starts off where they create a sense of security. So, like Tim was stating, she exposed herself first. So when the young men are like, well, why not? They already did it, so they see no harm, no foul in doing it and exposing themselves. um, and they after that they instill a lot of suicidal thoughts into their head. So a lot of times when you look at anyone, it doesn't matter the age, when you look at someone who shows signs of suicide, you have fear, embarrassment, unemployment, no social support, no family support. You have I mean, I can go on and on and on. And these professional con artists, they know how to instill that into your brain.
So sextortion, here are some stats about sextortion. 90% of victims were males between the ages of 14 and 17. Like the video we just saw, the boy was a 17. Predators can be online connections or in-person acquaintances. Payments often do not deter harassment. 17% of cases involve either hacking or fake imagery. And then Instagram and Snapchat are the most common apps used for sextortion. There are different signs of online harassment. If you're seeing any of these changes in your children, make sure you're having those conversations with them. They might have secretive online activity, changes in diet. They're having difficulty sleeping. They're avoiding social situations. Maybe they don't want to go to school. Maybe their grades are being affected. They're sending large amounts of money or they're receiving large amounts of money. And then they have multiple accounts from one platform. So, how to handle online harassment, preventing. There's ongoing conversations, frequent conversations. You monitor their online activity. Remember that if that is your phone, you can go through it, set the limits. There are ways that you can set time limits. I know a lot of parents that look at their children's screen time or they limit the kids' screen time. Responding, preserve evidence. Screenshots will be your best friend. If your children are ever going through something, make sure you tell them to screenshot everything. And then they need to block and report these profiles. And then reporting, you can report to your local police or the school. And then some cases might also need to be reported directly to the FBI. If there are any type of pictures that might be out there, maybe there were some inappropriate pictures that your children have taken, that you can utilize this website to get them taken down. And then with this, you can utilize it. And these are just the steps on how you can get the pictures taken down. So how to spot a fake profile. It's usually inconsistent. It's not complete. It doesn't really look like a full Instagram or TikTok page. It just has a lot of stock photos, maybe a lot of memes. And then if it doesn't look right, remember just to trust your gut. So what to do, you want to be aware, you want to educate yourself, you want to communicate. I think that communication is the biggest part of keeping yourself and your kids safe. Set clear boundaries. Let them know that, yes, you can use this phone, you can have this phone, you can have social media, but there needs to be boundaries. And then make sure that you're monitoring what they're doing on a daily basis. So with conversations, safety conversations, ages 2 to 6, you can talk to them about respecting their body. They should know their body parts, value, and then strangers, not talking to strangers. With 7 through 12, problem solving, respecting yourself, and then goal setting. 13 to 18, education. That's when they are getting their phones, they're getting into social media, they're growing up. And so educating themselves, making sure that they are communicating to you and to others if they have boundaries, things like that. And then tell them to be honest. Of course, they won't want to tell you as their parents what's going on, but if they are honest, you can help them in any type of way that you can. So some conversation starters. There are different ways to have these conversations. I know when the kids get to be teenagers, they don't really want to have conversation. They're like, oh, mom, you're just my mom, you're just my dad. But making them feel safe and having these conversations with them can be a great start just to keep them safe because they are online with strangers. They might be talking to strangers. And so having these conversations can definitely help in any type of situation. So the roles of adult, the teacher versus the parent versus the coach. I'm sorry, the teacher versus the coach versus the parent versus the doctor. Trusted adults. A trusted adult is so important in kids' lives. It's going to be a person that is there for you, that can help you in any type of situation, good or bad. Someone that's going to listen. You have trusted adults all around you, so they can have someone to talk to. They have trusted adults at home, so it could be mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, anyone that can help them. They can also have trusted adults in the community. So maybe they have a good relationship with their neighbor. Maybe they know a police officer or a firefighter. And then I like to tell the kids that they have trusted adults in the school. So in the school, all adults are trusted adults. They might have their favorite teacher, their favorite coach, a principal, someone that they can talk to. They need to know about safe adult behavior and then unsafe adult behavior. So some monitoring tools. We have Bark. Bark is best for social media monitoring. It does cost, but if you go to bark.us, you can look at whatever Bark is offering. Quizito is best for teens, and then Net Nanny is best for young kids. Google Family Link. This is something you do have to have an Android for this, but you see on the screen different things that you can use when you are using Google Family Link. You can see how long they've been on a website. You can check their location. You can lock their devices. You can set a time limit on how long they are on there. So if you do have one, you can utilize it. And then we also have Apple parental control. So with Apple, they do have some of the same things. You can have downtime. You can limit their apps, their communication skills. You can look to see who they're talking to. You can limit who they're talking to. And so if you have an Apple device, you can utilize this as well. So some additional resources, if you want to stop and take a picture of this, Bark is something that Crime Stoppers uses a lot. We also use Common Sense Media. You can look up David's legacy and see how that has affected some of the schools and how some of the laws have been put in place because of David's legacy. That is the end of my online solicitation presentation. If you do have any questions, you can always reach out to Crime Stoppers. You can use my email. You can also go to crime-stoppers.org because we do have a lot of resources that you can utilize, you can print out on our website. So thank you very much.